This is a dark, romantic, high fantasy novel with a central mate bond plot. It includes mature themes, symbolic power dynamics, and fictional age gaps within a fully fictional world. While elements of darkness and tension appear, the heart of the story remains magical and romantic. The world is fully fictional. Cultural inspirations are used only for aesthetic texture and variety. Viewer discretion is advised.
Moonlake by Moonlit Narrator. Chapter 5. The Alpha's Dilemma. Inside the private jet, Hannah settled into a seat away from Viktor and his men. She slipped on an eye mask, feigning sleep, but beneath the disguise, she quietly cast a spell, one that would allow her to listen in on their conversation.
I've been thinking, Viktor.
Even began, his tone more measured.
She's still so young. This might be too much for her, especially considering the traditions we follow.
Viktor, still focused on his wine, barely spared him a glance.
So what?
He replied, his voice sharp. Even exhaled softly, his voice steady.
I have no issue with the bond. It's the will of the Moonfy, and who am I to question that? Others find their mates at 18, but she is a foreigner to us. I'm concerned, Viktor. Our world doesn't always look kindly on those unprepared for it. The Pack, and especially the Alliance, she might not be understood, and that could put her at risk.
A brief silence hung between them, the weight of Evan's words sinking in. They both knew Hannah's hesitation. She wasn't ready. Marking a mate in their world required a deep, permanent connection, but with a young human from a homeland where modesty ruled above all, it was clear she wasn't prepared for that level of intimacy. Not yet, anyway.
I've heard Bianca's been causing trouble with the Omegas.
Dmitri added, his voice tinged with frustration.
She hasn't left the mansion, but she's stirring up chaos. Your mother's not happy about it, though they're just unverified rumors.
Andrei spoke up, his tone careful but direct.
Bianca's residence was outside the estate, but after she began pursuing you, she moved into the mansion without permission. Nina checked with Luna Isolda and head Omega Galena. Neither of them received any notice. Bianca also took one of the guest rooms meant for visiting dignitaries.
Viktor's jaw tightened at the mention of Bianca. Persistent and delusional, she had been more trouble than she was worth. At 18, Viktor had waited patiently for his mate. She never came. Ivan had found his own at 23, and by 25, Viktor had grown tired of waiting. He accepted a political marriage proposal from another alpha, only to be betrayed. As punishment, he seized the Orowin Pack's territory, absorbing it into Moonlake Pack, reaffirming his reign in the northern lands. After that, he stopped believing in destined mates. She-wolves had always sought him, but Viktor had kept them at arm's length. No attachments. No real strings. He took what he wanted and moved on before anyone could expect more. Bianca Mikhailova had been the latest, the longest lasting at 3 months. She'd mistaken his tolerance for something more, but like the others, she was nothing to him, and he had never officially ended it. But then there was Hannah. She was different. She was his first real attempt at pursuing a woman, and she had been the first to push him away. At first, Viktor had assumed it was simply instinct, a human resisting the bond. But after the restaurant, he realized it was more than that. She wasn't running, she was leading him. It was subtle, so deceptively well played, that had he not been watching closely, he might have believed she was simply unsure. But now he saw it for what it was, a game, and she thought she was winning. Viktor smirked, swirling the wine in his glass.
No,
He thought to himself,
she's not just a kid. Thank goodness she doesn't know the rejection words.
maybe she didn't even realize what she was to him. No matter what, he would convince her to be his. But now the rules have changed. He wouldn't just chase her anymore. He would let her come to him on her own. Bianca, on the other hand, was a force of her own. A strong she-wolf, she had once rejected her own human mate, believing herself destined for greatness. She had set her sights on Viktor, the most powerful alpha in the northern lands. He was feared, undefeated in battle, and completely unattainable. But unlike the others, she refused to accept that he wasn't fated to her. Viktor wasn't alone in his success. His beta, Ivan Petrov, delta, Dmitry Sokolov, and gamma, Andrei Vasiliev, were not just his subordinates but his childhood friends, brothers forged through war and loyalty. Born in the same year, they had grown up together, surviving the trials of their youth as a single unit. Ivan's mate, Natalia, was a healer Shivalov who had joined their circle years later. She was known for her wisdom and calming presence, the one who patched them up after battles. Dmitry's mate, Vera, was a formidable warrior Shivalov and their equal in strength. Once their childhood friend, her mate bond with Dmitry had activated at 18, deepening their connection with each passing year. Andrei's mate, Ekaterina, had been the youngest to join their ranks, eventually becoming a formidable battle mage whose power was only rivaled by her sharp wit. And now there was Hannah, only 18, the youngest among the women, a human raised far from their world of blood and war. Viktor leaned back in the plush seat of his private jet, swirling his wine with a detached air.
Mother mentioned it. I told her she could toss Bianca out or find her a place in the warriors' barracks. I didn't care, as long as the rules stayed intact.
His voice turned colder, deadlier.
For the record, I never made promises to her. She was persistent during the full moons. Nothing more.
He paused, letting the weight of the confession settle.
The second time was unavoidable.
His eyes flickered, something darker flashing beneath.
That night was different. I just didn't know why.
He set his glass down with a soft thud against the armrest.
But it doesn't matter now.
Victor's lips curved into something too sharp to be called a smile.
Bianca's nothing. Keep an eye on her. I'll handle the rest, and when I do, no one will mistake who Hannah is.
I'll make sure the pack stays secure.
Andrei replied, his tone steady and resolute.
No room for surprises, especially with your mate moving in.
Victor nodded, satisfied.
Ivan, arrange an emergency meeting as soon as we land.
He instructed before turning on his laptop. Ivan nodded sharply.
Understood. I'll make sure the council is ready.
Dmitry and Andrei exchanged a quick glance.
Always something, isn't it?
Andrei muttered, his tone dry but laced with resolve. Meanwhile, Hannah, still pretending to be asleep, smirked beneath her mask.
So Bianca, huh? What a player. Mama was right all along.